I gave him my heart. He gave me suspicion. My name is Callie. I'm 27, a high school biology teacher, former chaos gremlin, and someone who once felt completely untouchable in a pair of leggings and a gym mirror. There was a time, back in college, when I lived for the angles. Thirst traps, flirty captions, booty progress updates, and chaotic Snapchat private stories just for the girls. It wasn't about men, not really. It was about feeling powerful after a lifetime of insecurity. I finally liked how I looked, and I didn't owe anyone shame about that. Those posts, they were from another lifetime. Before I became a teacher, before I stepped into the classroom, before I ever met him. And when I met Eli, I didn't hide any of it. He was 29, a freelance graphic designer. He wore old concert tees and smelled like cedarwood and cold brew. We met at a friend's birthday party at a rooftop bar in North Park. He was charming in a quiet, understated way, full of thoughtful pauses and artist hands that always seemed to be sketching something, even in conversation. We ended up talking for hours. He said I had main character teacher energy. I laughed and told him that teenagers respected me because I gave exactly 0 fake smiles. He said I was magnetic. I said he was calming. It felt easy. When we started dating, I told him everything. I told him about college, about the guys I dated, about the dumb things I used to post. I never pretended to be anyone I wasn't. He said, "I like that you don't hide who you were." And I believed him. We got serious fast, spent holidays with each other's families, talked about rings, dogs, and maybe a little house somewhere in the mountains one day. He always kissed my forehead before work, called me C like it was a secret. I cleaned up my social media, not because he asked, but because I wanted to. I wasn't seeking attention anymore. My life felt full, quiet, safe. And then came the surgery. I'd been in pain for years, but I kept pushing it down, teaching through cramps, smiling through nausea, until I couldn't anymore. Diagnosis: stage 3 endometriosis. I was booked for laparoscopic surgery in late February, a routine procedure, but scary just the same. Eli promised he'd be there. He kissed my hand as they prepped me. My mom sat on one side of the hospital bed, holding my phone and purse. At one point, she stepped out to speak with a nurse and handed him my phone to hold. I remember being hooked up to an IV, lightheaded and vulnerable. I remember him smiling and saying, "I'll be right back." He walked out of the room. When he returned, 20 minutes later, his energy had changed. He was colder, quiet in a way that didn't feel peaceful. When I asked if he was okay, he just muttered, "Hospital stressed me out." I believed him. The surgery went well, but the recovery was brutal. I was stitched up and sore, barely able to sit upright. I could barely sleep. My stomach looked like I'd lost a fight with a sewing machine. And Eli, he didn't show up. Texts were short, dry. Been busy. Thinking. Just need some air. Finally, 3 days post-op, I called him. "Did I do something?" I asked. "You've been distant." He sighed, then said it. "I looked through your old Snapchat archives, the private ones." I blinked. "What?" He went on. About the gym pics, the old thirst trap jokes from college, a snap I'd made when I was 22 saying something like, "Even if I suck at giving head, I'm hot enough that any man should feel honored." It was clearly a joke. Cringe, sure, but a joke. A dumb one from 5 years ago. "You told me you'd only been with 2 people, he said, like it was an accusation. "I have only been with 2 people, I said. "You knew I wasn't a virgin." He shook his head. "Those stories. You just look like someone else." I stared at him. "I told you who I was. From the start. You're the one who's decided that makes me unworthy now." He didn't apologize. Didn't say he regretted going through my phone while I was literally being prepped for surgery. He just said, "I don't know if I can trust you." So I told him to leave. even though I could barely stand, even though my stitches burned, even though my heart was breaking quietly in the background. He didn't fight it, just left. A few days later, our mutual friends came by with soup and flowers. We sat on my couch watching reality shows and eating takeout. I tried to laugh. I tried not to notice the gaping hole where Eli used to be. Then I asked, "Has anyone heard from him?" Silence. Then Rachel said, hesitantly, "Callie, he told everyone you broke up before your surgery." I blinked. "What?" "Yeah," she said. "He told us it was mutual, that things ended because you weren't honest about your past." I didn't cry in front of them. I waited until I was alone. A week later, I checked his Instagram. He'd posted a picture of himself hiking with some girl I didn't recognize. The caption, "Some things start soft and still last forever." I wasn't even angry, just numb. He had rewritten the story. In his version, I was the villain, the liar, the imposter. But the truth, I had told him everything. He just didn't like that I had ever lived a life before him. Then the messages started coming. Mutual friends saying he was spiraling, that he kept bringing me up in conversations no one asked for, that he was acting weird, paranoid, defensive,
constantly retelling his version of our story like he was trying to convince someone, maybe even himself. One friend texted, "He said you manipulated him, that you tricked him into thinking you were innocent. I told him that was BS. We all knew you were upfront from day one." Another wrote, "He's obsessed with your old posts, still talks about those college snaps like they mean something now. He said he doesn't know who you really are. I asked him, or do you just not like that she didn't stay frozen in the version you wanted her to be?" He didn't answer. Then came the work problems. He lost a client, missed deadlines. They dropped him, someone told me. Apparently, during a virtual feedback session with a major brand, they asked for revisions, and he snapped. He told them he was sick of people pretending to be good. Said women are all fake, branding themselves into things they're not. It was supposed to be a basic logo tweak. Instead, he made it personal. They cut him loose the next morning. After that, the pattern continued. Other clients noticed the shift, missed meetings, short tempers, cryptic emails that made people uncomfortable. He started posting strange things online, too. Quotes about betrayal, about being used, about people having hidden pasts. One mutual said, "It's like he's trying to build a following out of heartbreak, but no one's clapping, just watching him fall apart." His once steady reputation as a clean, reliable designer started slipping. Fewer referrals, fewer likes, fewer people picking up a phone. Even some of our old friends, people who had defended him at first, started backing away. Because it was clear he wasn't angry because I had lied. He was angry because I hadn't asked for his forgiveness. Because I hadn't begged for him to come back. Because I had healed without him. Karma didn't punch him in the face. It just walked, slowly, through his life, turning off lights, one by one. Months passed. And then one night, I got a message from a new number. "Hey, I've been thinking about you. I messed up. I miss us. Would you be open to talking?" I stared at it. Then I deleted it, because I wasn't his anymore. And more importantly, I was mine again. The healing wasn't linear. Some mornings I cried over a pair of socks he left behind. Other nights I made soup and felt like I could breathe again. And somewhere in the quiet, I met someone new. His name was Rowan. He was soft-spoken but not fragile, kind in the way that felt steady, not performative. We met at a bookstore cafe. He recommended me a novel about comets and grief.
We talked for an hour about stars and solitude.
I told him I'd had surgery, told him I had endo, that I was still healing, told him I used to be loud online, and sometimes I still missed the girl in those old photos. He just smiled.
You're allowed to have history. We all do. What matters is who you are with me.
He never made me earn trust I'd already proven. He never flinched at my past. He never turned love into a courtroom. He loved me for all of it. Who I was, who I am, and who I'll become. So no, this isn't a story about heartbreak. It's about betrayal, yes, but more than that, it's about reclamation. About rising from the wreckage someone left behind and refusing to apologize for ever being real. Eli saw a version of me and made up his own ending. Rowan looked at all of me and stayed. And me? I finally see myself without shame. Not too much, not too loud. Just right. Always have been, always will be.